Welcome to The Human Athlete, a podcast about life after sport and how to win it. I'm Jared Markowitz. I started this show because I've always been fascinated by what happens after the final whistle, when athletes have to rebuild purpose, discipline, and identity outside of competition. Every episode, you'll hear honest conversations with former athletes who are learning to lead, perform, and live with meaning beyond the game. Because the lessons sport teaches us can help us all live stronger, more intentional lives.
All right, everybody. Welcome today to The Human Athlete. Today I'm joined by Alex Erickson, former NFL athlete of 9 years and former Badger, now an entrepreneur, owner of multiple businesses, and a real estate investor. He is a lover of golf, and he is a lover of his family. His wife, Kelsey, who he's been married to for 9 years, and his 4 kids, Owen, 6 years old, Harper, 5, Hadley, 3, and Olivia, 2. He's a big fan of being a dad.
I love that.
Yeah, brother. Great to have you.
I'm glad to be here, man. Excited.
All right, so we've got a lot to cover, I feel like, because I want to dive into your story as an athlete. I want to dive into where you're going now and what the mission, the purpose is behind that, and really just rap in general, because you're a cool guy and I like hanging out with you.
Appreciate it.
Plus, you get to be the first official in-person podcast for The Human Athlete. So this is pretty awesome. I'm happy to have you here in the studio rolling this way. It's just a much different experience, in my opinion, as somebody who loves to connect in person with people versus doing these podcasts, to a screen all the time.
No doubt.
So just to give the audience an idea of where you're coming from, give us the backstory of your football career, both at UW, so former Badger here, and then transitioning to the NFL, and how that whole process played out for you.
Yeah, I'll even go a step back. I was a small town kid, grew up in Wisconsin, about an hour southwest of Madison. 2,500 people, no stoplights, just a rural, small town farming community. So the work ethic is very, hard work. People milking cows, doing chores, like there's no days off. And my parents were no different. They weren't farmers or anything, but my mom grew up on a farm, very blue collar, hardworking people. And so I wasn't a highly recruited guy coming out of high school. I didn't have any offers, but I had the skill set, I had the ability, and someone at Wisconsin saw that, and I was able to get a walk-on opportunity to play there. So yeah, that's kind of how my journey started, as a walk-on. There was 12 guys in the receiver room. I was probably the 12th guy when I got there. I played quarterback in high school, so I was learning a new position when I got to Wisconsin too. So making a big jump from a small school to Division I, highest level college football, changing positions. So there's a lot of stuff going on that I really needed to prove myself day in and day out to show that, one, I could play receiver, two, that I was had the ability to play Division I football. So it was a tall task. It was, and I kind of credit my just being naive to everything, and just being super excited to just be on the team. And that energy kind of really fueled me every day, because I was just pumped to go in and work out with the guys, just be part of the team and all that stuff. And then when I got in there, I'm like, man, these guys aren't better than me. Like, I can play with these guys. And now how can I hone the craft and the skill of playing receiver to be able to get snaps on Saturdays? And so that's when that progress started. And my first year, it's a blessing. I was just like on the practice squad, if you will. Like, I didn't travel to games. I would show up, play against the defense, and so the expectations are very low. And so I got to go out there and trial and error, what worked, what didn't work. I could catch the football, so I knew that. Now it's, how can I get the footwork and all that? And so I got to go against a great defense, and they would show us a card. You'd run the play on the card, but then you got to do, you still tried to beat the guy across from you. So I got a lot of opportunities, a lot of reps to learn how to play receiver.
Well, and learn the system too, right? I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
there's a part of that where you, the lack of consequence, I feel like, is a really valuable piece where you feel like there's an opportunity to make mistakes versus somebody who's highly recruited coming in on scholarship and they're just trying to not screw up.
Yep.
And that's a really bad mentality to have, and we all know that,
Right.
or learn that over the course of time. But to get the opportunity to just experience that out of the gate,
Yep.
man, that's well, I think that speaks interestingly to the success that UW has had with these walk-on guys. I mean, you obviously being one of the
Yeah.
unique ones, but there's a number of guys who made it to the NFL.
Yeah, there is. And I think I test that to one, just them being accepting of walk-ons as just there's no difference between a
You have
scholarship.
the same opportunity as somebody
Yeah, and
else does,
so
essentially.
and I think as any culture, whether it's a business culture, a business organization, or a football program, like you want the guys at the bottom to feel like they can get to the top because
Yeah.
everyone's pulling in the same direction. And the walk-ons were no different. We weren't treated any different. We just weren't on scholarship, but the opportunities on the field were the same. And that's all you can ask is a competitor, someone that's trying to make it is like, I just want an opportunity that the next guy's getting.
Mhm.
And so when I was given the opportunity, now it's up to me. Can I make the most of the opportunity?
Yep.
Whether that's one rep, because I'm not getting as many reps as a scholarship guy, as a
course.
5-star guy. Like those guys are going to get rep or opportunity after opportunity, even if they're making mistakes, and eventually they'll hit their threshold. But so I have, I might only get 2 reps in practice. Well, one, I can't go out and mess up the play,
Yeah.
the system, just like lining up. And 2, now how can you maximize that rep by, having a flash play or just whether it's just effort, because that shows up on film too. And so
100%.
there was a lot of opportunities that I'm grateful for that Wisconsin gave me that a lot of colleges just don't get because I just don't think they value walk-ons. And I think maybe the caliber of walk-ons that they're bringing in aren't deserving opportunities or whatever the case may be. But I think Wisconsin's valued walk-ons traditionally. I think the lack of Division I schools in the state of Wisconsin football programs, so guys that maybe could go play D2 or go to a smaller Division I school just elect to go as a walk-on at Wisconsin.
Sure.
And so I think you're getting guys that are maybe just need a little more time to develop and become guys. And obviously it's a new day and age now, and I will see how it plays out. But that was my experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that was, to me as a fan, and granted, in a lot of ways, when I was my fandom of UW started in school before you were in school, but then carried through, into my young professional career, watching other guys, like that was fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that felt like kind of blue collar Wisconsin. Like you could recognize an identity.
Yeah.
With that kind of team.
Yeah, it definitely really coincides with the identity in the state of Wisconsin and just the Midwest in general of, we get what we earn.
Yeah.
It's not given to you. There's nothing easy about this. It's the road less traveled. And at the end of the day, some people get it done and some don't. And,
Sure.
I think that's the walk-on way. It's like, at the end of the day, you gotta earn it every day. But it's very fulfilling and very rewarding at the end.
Yeah. Cool. So then that leads to the end of UW football.
Yeah.
And moving into the draft and that whole process. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's kind of the same story.
Right.
Like I had a good career at Wisconsin, had 2 really solid years had high production. And so I thought I was going to get an opportunity. I ended up going undrafted. I ended up watching the whole draft. I can't watch draft anymore. I got PTSD.
I can't imagine, right? Like anybody who walks into that and starts going, yeah, I'm going to get drafted, and you go through the whole process, it has to be just painful to watch it.
Well, I think it's,
after the
a lot of times like you're getting calls from these organizations and, they're selling you on like, hey, we're going to draft you. You got a potential to draft you late, all this stuff. But in reality, they're just prepping you for, hey, we're not going to draft you, but we want to sign you after the draft.
Sure.
And so they kind of give you that false hope and that like you kind of vision yourself being part of that organization.
Yeah,
so
you
then
start
when
to
the
get
time,
excited.
yeah. So then when time
Yeah.
comes, they like, oh man, we're going to draft you. They just give you the whole sale. It's a business,
Yeah,
and
it
so
is. Yeah.
but when you're you're like, oh yeah, I might get drafted by like I had a couple teams. There's the Baltimore Ravens, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Bengals were kind of the three teams that I kind of was talking to throughout the whole process. And I go undrafted, and excuse me, Cincinnati was a team that I visited, had great conversation with the coach. And for me, it was one, the roster kind of set up. They lost their top two receivers, and so everyone's going to have to move up. They drafted some guys, but the most important thing to me is the receiver coach saw my game the way I see my game.
Oh,
And so
okay.
I knew that he was going to put me in position that I was going to be able to have success, or at least give me the best chance of success.
Yeah.
So that was very important to me because at the end of the day, when you come into that position, you need someone that's going to stand on the table and fight for you as an undrafted guy. And Coach Urban was the receiver coach at the time, and he was a guy that, man, we just kind of had a connection and kind of saw football the same way. And
Sure.
he was a guy that was underrated as just a coach and everything. So we kind of had the same mentality. So there's a lot of things that were coinciding and really going in the right direction. So that's kind of why I decided to go to Cincinnati. And
so let me ask this: did you, when it got to the end and the point of free agency, so after the draft is done, guys are getting calls from different teams, hey, we want to sign you to our practice squad, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Did you get multiple calls at that point, or did the call just come from the Bengals?
Yeah, so I got multiple calls. I got calls from the teams that I was really talking to, like the Vikings and the Ravens.
Okay.
And then you got some sleeper teams that just every organization does things differently, and they kind of came on late, and but it all happens fast.
I'm
like
sure.
The draft ends, and it's like, I mean, I made a decision within 30 minutes to go to Cincinnati. Like, you got to make a decision quick because they're like, whoever they get commitments from, they got their list of guys. They're going through and boom, 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 and you got to make a decision quick. And so that's why you do a lot of prep work with your agent before that. And I had a great agent, Ryan Jansen, and he had it all. We had it all laid out of like, and so then, but when the draft happens, those spots change because they draft guys that are like your position. And so a team that maybe
take a late draft pick on a smaller receiver, and you're like,
Right.
well, that spot's kind of filled in the team, and now what?
Yeah. So your whole thing is like, how can I my best chance of making the 53-man roster?
For sure.
Yeah. And it's changed now because of the practice squad rules and all that, but it's still the same premise. Like, what is my best chance to make the 53-man roster? So it's like, there's a lot of juggling going on, and things are changing, and you got to be fluid and be able to adapt and change. And at the end of the day, you just got to make a decision, go with it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we had to do, and it was the right decision.
I mean, clearly.
Yeah.
So talk about that, because I think, you can't sit here and assume the audience knows about your history and your career with in the NFL, because the Bengals is where you had the most prominent role.
Yeah.
But I mean, the NFL career spanned 9 years.
Yeah. So I spent 5 years in Cincinnati, and I'll share like how I made the team, because that was kind of the most pivotal point, kind of the catalyst to the rest of my career. But I came in, and same thing. We had, 11, 12 receivers. That's what we kind of bring into NFL training camp. It keeps 5, 6, maybe 7 on a year that's fully loaded. When I was at the time, it was 2 practice squads. So it was 12 guys for 7 spots, realistically.
Okay.
But you gotta, they drafted a guy in the second round, so he's locked. They had AJ Green, he's locked. They had another Brandon LaFell, a vet that was going to come in and be a starter, so he's locked. So there's 4 spots that are, and then they had a couple other guys that were locked. So there's maybe 2 spots.
Okay.
For 6 guys.
Yep.
And so it's as cutthroat as you could think.
Yeah.
And so I got there, and I'm like, I didn't like counting the numbers, because you just drive yourself nuts. You waste energy and time thinking like, well, where am I going to fit in here? Right? You don't see yourself fitting in. Like, this is a round hole. This is square. Like, it ain't going to fit. But you just, kind of like I did Wisconsin, like, that doesn't matter. Like, I can't control the decisions made in the day, but I can control how I show up every day, how I work, how I show an impression to these guys that I deserve a spot. And so that's where my energy and time and focus needs to be. And so I got there, and I didn't really do that much special teams at Wisconsin. I did some punt return in my senior year. And luckily, the special team coach at Wisconsin, or at Cincinnati, he's great. Darren Simmons, he's still there now. But he really, he's still there. He's been there 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Those special teams coaches, how long they last in those roles when they're doing well. That's wild.
Yeah, he's like known as one of the best special teams coaches.
Okay.
And he's nuts. Like, he's crazy. But very, like, you have to, because special teams, he always said, there's one bullet in the chamber. Like there's one play.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get to come back to second down, third
Right.
down, right? So if you fumble a punt, they get the ball back. You hit a bad punt, like miss a kick, like that's your one chance that game, you know?
Yep.
And so it's high pressure. You got to perform. And so the preparation that he put us under really got us ready for those moments. And so I used to go out and catch punts, and I wasn't even there to be a punt returner. I was back there catching punts just because I come out, like, I want to see you guys catch punts.
We need somebody to catch the ball, the punter's kicking, and see
Yeah,
what
just
punter's
like
doing or whatever.
just come out. Like there was a handful of guys out there. Like most of them weren't going to be punt returners. It's just like we'll just see. Maybe this guy's got something. Maybe he don't.
Because you never know.
Right. And in the OTAs, there's time and there's reps, and so everyone's coming out there catching punts. And so he knew I'd catch punts. So we get to the first preseason game, and before the games, they go through like, hey, Alex, you're going to play first, second quarter on offense, and then be ready for special teams or whatever. And they kind of share like what the expectations are for the game.
So you're aware.
I'm aware that
there's a plan in place, right? That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, plans are useless, but planning is essential.
Yeah.
Right.
No, exactly. Yeah, because the guy gets injured, everything moves.
Yeah.
You know? But I wasn't scheduled to get any reps on special teams.
This is game one.
Game one of preseason.
First season.
Yes.
Okay.
2016, my first preseason game. I wasn't scheduled to get any preseason or any special team snaps. And so we get to the game. I played good on offense. Like I had a touchdown on offense. Like I was doing really well on offense, but it wasn't going to be enough to make the team because if you're not 1, 2, 3, 4, you got to have special teams value, or else it's hard for them to keep you.
Right.
And so I'm like, I got to find a way on special teams, and I'm not a big straight line speed guy to play gunner and all this stuff, and so I was like, returner was kind of my shot.
Could have been,
you know, it was my chance.
There's an opportunity there.
Yeah. And so we get the first preseason game. It's the fourth quarter. The guy that they were really trying to get to be the returner, he was a super fast kid, all this stuff. He ends up rolling his ankle in the third quarter. So he's like, fourth quarter coming around, Darren looks at me, he's like, Alex, go back, you're returning this punt. I said, okay. So I strap it up, I go back in there, and we're playing the Vikings. Guy bombs me one. I catch it like over my shoulder. I catch it, boom, 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 kind of spin out, go 75 yards to the house. First play.
So hang on. So first preseason game, 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns.
That's badass.
Yeah. And so like it just everything that could have went right. Like it was meant to be.
Yeah.
You know? And so the next week we come around, we played 4 preseason games. And the second week comes around, I'm playing the Lions. Same thing. He puts me in the fourth quarter, boom, rip another one, like a 30-yarder. So then the third week is kind of the dress rehearsal week of like all the starters are going, they're playing their ones, we're playing our ones. And so what we did was me and the previous punt returner that was been there for 5-6 years, really good punt returner in the league. He's like, you guys can go every other. Like let's see what you can do.
Yeah.
Like you're going against their goods. Like we're bringing our goods. Like this is an opportunity for you to show that you can play in the NFL. Like this is the closest thing you're going to get to a regular season game. So we go every other, same thing. Like I ripped another one down the sidelines, and I just had the hot hand, and like, so then I caught another touchdown on offense, and then the next week going up to the next week, they ended up releasing the punt returner,
the veteran punt returner
that was competing against, and so I'm like, no, it's not gonna happen. Like so, I just kept telling myself.
So hang on. I want to know. It's like timeline wise. I think it's interesting. Did you hear that before they told you anything? So you had to sit there and kind of.
Oh, they don't tell you anything.
Okay.
They don't tell you.
So literally, he's gone.
He's gone. Yeah.
And you're just sitting there going.
They did him a solid because he ended up getting picked up. Like he was a good player and he had a lot of film, and so he was gonna get picked up. So they did that out of respect to him. So
get him out early to get an opportunity within our team.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he ended up signing with the Bills and ended up playing a couple more years, but. Like, so they did him a solid, but they don't tell you that. They're just like, you're a rook. Like, you could be cut tomorrow.
Effectively, you're still on the practice squad. They didn't even, it's not they drafted you. They don't have a
so you're on the 90
contract.
They do a 90-man roster. So you do sign a contract.
Okay.
So it's a 90-man roster, which every team does. Like right now, they're starting to form the 90-man rosters, and then it goes down to 53.
Right.
So when I was there, they went from 90 to 75. Maybe it was 90 to 8. I don't care. They had like 2 or 3 different cuts.
Right. Throughout the preseason.
Yep.
So
the last preseason game, there was at that time, I think there was 75 or 70 guys on the team. And so it's like that fourth preseason game becomes a Wild Wild West because there's like receivers playing DB. It's like they have no numbers. They're not playing the starters. And so, but yeah, like I kind of saw like, man, I got a real opportunity to make this team.
Yeah.
And then the fourth preseason comes around, and we didn't really do anything because you just fair catch everything and run very vanilla stuff.
Trying to not get hurt.
Trying to get through the game.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm glad they got rid of the fourth preseason game. What kind of like it was important for me at the time.
Yep.
Like as you get older as a vet, you're like, get rid of the fourth preseason game, please.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so then you know, after that game, they're like, hey, leave your phones on. We're gonna cut down the rest of the roster the next 2 days. Like, and so everyone kind of just leaves and sits in their hotel room or their
Just waiting for a phone call
yeah.
or a
And
text.
so I was in Cincinnati, so like right across the Ohio River is Kentucky, and I was going over Kentucky to meet my family. So I'm literally on the bridge. Zzz, phone starts ringing. It's a I think it's 513 area code, whatever Cincinnati is.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was Marvin Lewis, the head coach at the time. I'm like, oh man, I didn't even get across the bridge. And he calls me. He's like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, you made the team. Congratulations. Like, go celebrate with your family. Like, I remember that call so vividly. And I was literally driving to see my family. And it was a pretty surreal moment, you know. A lot went into that. But that was just like step one. You know, it was like,
Oh, yeah.
so much work went in just to get an opportunity to play on Sundays, you know. And like now everything even goes harder to like getting there is hard, staying there is even harder.
Well, you won.
Yeah.
And you have zero time to be complacent.
Right.
I mean, yes, you can celebrate that, but it's kind of like you celebrate that day.
Yeah.
And then it's back to work and back to more diligent, more intentional work because now you know I have an actual role on Sundays.
Yep.
This is the real deal.
Yeah. And so it's just like a whole nother level that goes up.
Yeah.
And it was kind of humbling. Like that you get to the season, you're like, these punters aren't punting like the preseason. The scheme is not like the preseason. Like it's not the preseason. Like it's a whole nother animal. And so that was like a whole nother adjustment. Faster, just like there's more consequences, obviously. So like that, you know, that changes the way and like the situations of the game change. You know, as a punt returner, the situation of the game is so important. Like when we can take risks, when we can't take risks, like you know, are we as a scheme, like are we bringing pressure? So that means we're going to be single on the outside, so it's probably more chance for a fair catch. And like now we got a return look, so now we're setting up a return. Like there's so many variables that go into the situation of the game that, you know, it's just that learning has to go up. And it's just a whole new ball game. But it was awesome. It was, you know, like I said when I got to Wisconsin, I was like naive to everything, you know, just like first game we're playing at MetLife Stadium in New York on 9/11, and like it's just, man, there was a lot of cool things that you look back on, but at the time, like you said, there's no time for complacency. So you're just what's next?
Just doing what's right in front of you.
You're focused on what's next so much that you can't let off the gas because there's guys coming in. There's always someone looking for your job.
Of course,
you know.
I mean, it's the most lucrative industry and the most competitive.
Yep.
I would say that exists.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's 32 punt returners in the league, you know. I mean, there's more than that if you take, you know, backups and stuff, but let's just say 32 guys in the whole world that are doing your job, and there's a lot of them coming for it, you know. And so super competitive, but it kind of really shapes and forms you and really tests your mindset every single day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So then the Bengals career continues on. Talk about the transition from that to then, because that was 5 years.
5 years, yep.
And then 4 years. And right now, where we sit right now, you are a year removed?
A year removed, yep. 1 year. Yep.
So it's been 5 years essentially since the Bengals, your time with the Bengals ended. And that was the longest tenure you had.
Yep. Yeah, every other spot was 1 year. I had a solid career at Cincinnati. I was always like the fourth guy. The guy they drafted the same year that I came in, Tyler Boyd, out of Pittsburgh, really good player. We kind of played the same position. Like that was my strength in the NFL, was the slot position.
And he was a much bigger, from what I recall, he was a much bigger receiver.
Yeah, he was a big slot receiver.
Yeah.
But the NFL was going to bigger slot receivers at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just a really good player. So I was always behind him and always kind of had my role. But he ever injuries or, when I got an opportunity to start, like I really performed well and like had good stat games, like 100-yard games. And so I'm like, man, I really want an opportunity to start in the NFL.
Yeah.
And so I knew it wasn't going to be in Cincinnati because they just signed him extension, and rightfully so. Like he deserved it. He was a great player.
Yep.
And so I was like, I got to go somewhere else to get an opportunity. And so that's kind of the reason I left Cincinnati, to get an opportunity to play more snaps as a receiver.
Sure.
And so I signed to the Houston Texans. The situation wasn't great. I don't know. It didn't work out down there. And so then I got cut from them, and we'll come back to that. We're talking about identity and stuff.
Yeah.
But I got cut from them, and then I got signed right to Carolina right away. Went there, had a year, kind of more as a punt returner. Didn't really get a strong opportunity as a receiver. And so I was kind of seeing that the league was valuing me more as a returner than it was a receiver.
Sure.
And so I was kind of put in a little box. But every time I got an opportunity, like I played well as a receiver.
Yeah.
But it was just, that's kind of how they valued me, like across the league as a returner.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But at the time, I was kind of prideful, like I deserve an opportunity to receiver. Like, when's it going to come?
Yeah.
Well, it's already year 6 at this point, year 7. Like I've already surpassed, the average by
the tenure
2 times, you know?
Yeah.
And so then the 7th year, I go to the Commanders. Same thing, just kind of had a role as a returner. Then my 8th year, I go to the Chargers, and the receiver coach in LA was the same receiver coach I had at Wisconsin for 2 years.
Okay.
Like the guy that basically gave me my scholarship and everything. Like it was kind of a full circle moment. But Coach Beatty, Chris Beatty, a lot of respect for him, great coach. And so I actually got a lot of opportunity to play receiver in LA. And I actually had my second best statistic year as a receiver in my 8th season. So then I go to my 9th year. I'm thinking like, man, but every stop, like the coach got fired. And so you kind of like, that team just is a new team.
I mean, like
your track record's gone.
And I feel like what's interesting about that when it comes to, because I think that a lot of this, the conversations I've had with former athletes and the identity piece, what's crazy about it is there's identity pieces of it that aren't in your control. And one of them I feel like is the coach. Yeah. When the coach changes, it's like you're literally playing for your spot, playing for your life again.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those catch-22s. It's like, I can be who I am and hope that the new person is going to be like, yeah, that's the kind of person we want on our team. Or I can try and figure out what that coach wants me to be, try and fake it essentially until I either make it or I can't handle faking it anymore. Yeah. And see how that goes. And it's it's a challenging piece too, because you literally walk in and you're like, hey, this is what I do. This is who I am. And you've put your foot down. I mean, I feel like for you, and I watch you, and I will tell you this too. I actually had you on my fantasy team for like a couple of small snippets of time.
Yeah, I had a couple legit chance to be a fantasy guy there for a couple weeks.
But you were the hard work guy.
Yeah.
And you always were.
Yep.
Right? And so it's, to me, as somebody who's not really lived in that NFL world, where you just have these incredibly gifted, like genetically gifted human beings in front of you, as a business owner, I value hard work over talent almost all the time, because I feel like I can mold that person into what I want them to be. But at that level of the NFL, when performance is such a huge piece of it, like that factors in also.
Yeah. Yeah. The league is very, I think it's shifted a little bit, but it was very potential. Like, what is your potential?
Yeah.
Like, guys with potential will get opportunity after opportunity after opportunity.
Yeah.
Just hoping that they'll blossom into the first round talent that they are.
That they expected.
Yeah, that they expected.
Or that they thought they might be. Right.
And a lot of it too, like, it's a business, right? These GMs are graded on the guys they bring in, the guys they draft.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to get extra opportunities because guess what? If the first rounders keep not panning out for that GM, like he's probably going to get fired. So he's going to get opportunity after opportunity to prove that he can be the first rounder that he is.
Yeah.
And I was always the do it right, try hard, all that stuff. And I kind of used to always like push back on that a little bit. Like, no, because I am talented, I am skilled, all this stuff. But at the same time too, like I really started to embrace myself, who I truly was as an athlete. And kind of after I got cut there, it was kind of like a reset moment for me. And so I really embraced it. Like, yeah, I am going to do it right. I am going to work my tail off every single day. And you know what you're going to get from me.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of value in that.
Mm-hmm.
From an organizational standpoint, from the coaches trusting me, and
The locker room.
Like guys know that I'm going to come in and that's who I'm going to be every single day.
Right.
And
a
lot of respect in that.
I feel like the guy who's gonna outwork the other guys. It's like no matter what, you walk in the door and you're like,
Yep.
I can't outwork that guy. He's gonna always outwork
The
me.
guy I always was scared of. It wasn't the first round guy because there was nothing I could do about that guy.
Yeah.
It was the guy that was either the late round guy or the undrafted guy that when I walked in the building, he was walking.
He's already there.
He was walking in the building too.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a guy I worried about because that was my spot. We can't have we can't have 5 try hard guys on the team, you know. And so that was the guy I worried about because at the end of the day, you're in the NFL. You probably got some floor of athletic ability that is just it's good enough to get you to the NFL, right?
And you have to.
Right. And so now it's like the skill stuff and learning the scheme and all that, like that's what separates you. And that takes time on task. That takes repetition.
Yeah.
And the only way to do repetition is by doing it over and over and over again. And so those are the guys I worried about. The guy that was back there catching punts with me all the time. And so then it becomes a competition. Like, no, I'm going to be out there 5 minutes for you. Is he grabbing his helmet? All right, I'm going to go. Like you're always competing against other guys, but more importantly versus yourself of like, hey, I got to put in the most reps.
What more can I do?
Yep.
How can I be better than I was yesterday?
Right. And it like you look back on it now, and I think towards the end of my career, I started enjoying stuff more and kind of reflecting more on it. But at the time, it's like you didn't really enjoy it that like I want to preface that like I enjoyed playing, but like you don't have time to enjoy those moments. Like you're just on to the next. And so like even the off season, like season's over, great, had a good year, doesn't matter. It's on to the next.
Yep.
Like quick story about that. Like my rookie year, I was second in the NFL in average and kickoff return. In the NFL in average, I led the AFC. I was second behind Cordell Patterson. It was like one of the better returners of all time. Like, so I was number 2 in the NFL in kickoff return statistics. Well, what do the Bengals do? They draft John Ross, who ran a 4.2, and they drafted Joe Mixon, who was a really good kickoff returner. And they tried those guys at kickoff return, like, and so I was literally I could potentially be second in the league and then be out of my job the next year. Like that's how crazy competitive it is, you know?
Right.
And so, yeah, you're just on to the next, hyper-focused, like, how can I get to the next thing? And you don't really have time to enjoy those moments. And now I kind of enjoy them and look back on them. And as I got older in my career, I kind of look back on them and all that stuff and trying to find the balance of enjoying the moments but still being focused on what's next because you can do that.
Yeah. It's one of the big things that I harp on when it comes to coaching, and this is a human thing, is people who are ultra successful, high performers. One of the hardest things, this is for me too, one of the hardest things for us to do is to reflect positively on the work that we put in, on the success we've had.
Yeah.
Because even for me as an entrepreneur, it's always, oh, I won? Okay, but what didn't I get done yet?
Yeah.
I gotta get that done now. Versus stopping and going, look how great that was that you just knocked that out, or that whole thing came to fruition. It took you 6-8 months to complete whatever it was. But immediately you're going, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Right, and I think that's why I credit a lot of my success in year 8 when I was with the Chargers. So I was with the Jets in training camp that year. I had a really strong camp. Thought I was going to make the team, get cut. I go home and I'm at that time, I'm 31 years old. Just got cut, like didn't really have a lot of production the year before, like had a good training camp, all that. So I'm like, hey, realistically, it could be done. Like it wouldn't be like that would make sense that it's done.
Yeah.
And so then within 2 days, the Chargers called me, wanted to sign me. And I remember flying out there, that's a long flight. And I'm like, this is probably my last season. Like, let's enjoy the crap out of this.
Yeah.
Like whatever, like the good, the bad, ugly, let's truly enjoy it. Like embrace it all. Like there's nothing to lose. Like you got nothing to prove. There's nothing to lose at this point. Like just enjoy it all. And I remember playing so free that year because there was nothing to lose for me. Like, and I think like that mindset is so valuable because like you're playing so free.
Yeah.
And whether it was a bad play, because I like you said, I was very hard on myself when a bad play happened. And I wouldn't really give myself gratitude and good job when good things happened. It was always just like, how can I improve on that bad thing?
Yep.
And so I really focused on improving the bad things and not enjoying the positivity and the good things.
Right. Which is human nature.
Right. It's human nature, but it wears you out when you
Oh man, absolutely.
Right. And so that year I'm like, oh, it was a bad play. That's okay. Like bad plays happen, you know? That doesn't mean I don't go focus and fix it.
Yeah.
But
there's a difference between
it's a different thinking process of it.
Make mistakes, you fail, and you learn from them, or they burden you.
Right.
And they weigh you down. And I think it's still possible for people who are high achievers, and I can speak from experience myself and other people that are good friends in my friend circle, is that even at the point of a mistake or a failure, it can burden you.
Yeah.
And you can work on learning from it. It can do both to you.
Right.
It's when you can allow it to truly just be a learning experience and make that full mental shift.
Right.
Is when things really can get outstanding.
Right. And I think the identity piece of who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And I think athletes, we put a lot of our identity on who we are as people and the value we are as people as how we perform on the field or court.
Of course.
And so when we have a bad play, like that's the biggest difference. When I have a bad play, like it shouldn't make me feel less as a person because I had a bad play.
Yeah.
That was just one play that just didn't go the way I wanted to. That doesn't change my value as a human being.
Right.
Like I'm still strong, all that, like whatever characteristics you want to share about yourself, like that doesn't change.
Yep.
It's just a bad play. But I think we mesh those two. And so now, I'm embarrassed to go out and with my friends and stuff after I have a bad performance because, oh man, I'm not good enough, you know? And that is a dangerous spot to be mentally.
Yeah.
And I think I had that shift. And like, I'm a Christian, like who I am is the foundations in Christ.
Yeah.
Spend time in my word and all this stuff, like pray. But when I got to Houston, it was kind of meshing between who I am as a person is directly tied to my performance on the field.
Yeah. And
even though like I'm a Christian, like I'm reading the word, like I'm saying the right, like all this stuff, but I wasn't walking with Jesus. I wasn't living it. Yeah.
And I do the same thing, man. Like it's one thing to say it.
Yep.
It's another to truly believe it.
Yep.
And in a lot of ways, I think what I'm finding and learning and just digging into, there's a book actually I have right over here. It's called Titus 10 that we're digging into as a men's Bible group, but really interesting conversation about identity. And what I'm learning is that the fake it till you make it mentality, I feel like that almost comes from that identity that you have to find with God.
Yeah.
In the sense that I can sit here and say it and say it and say it, and I don't believe it. But if I don't keep saying it, I will never believe it.
Yeah.
I just have to keep doing it. And eventually you'll go, oh, or there'll be that aha moment and you'll be like, okay,
yeah,
it's all starting to make sense now.
Right.
But it is hard.
Right. Well, and you read the gospel and it's like, you can't earn salvation, right? It's a gift.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing with when you have that identity. It's like, whether I make the play, whether like whatever I do, like it's not going to make God love me more.
Yeah.
Right. And so stop thinking that way.
Yeah.
And I think when I got to Houston, I didn't get cut, and it was my first time getting cut ever. And so it was like well, now I have to live this because I am cut. Like
someone basically told me I'm not enough.
I'm not enough. Like
Yeah.
it's all out in the world. Everyone knows you got released.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what are you going to do now? You know, like people just think your career's over and all this stuff. And so it's like, I can either let that become who I am.
Yeah.
Or I can truly walk the way I'm called to walk.
Yeah.
And know that this is just part of adversity, part of your story, going to make you better if you can persevere and get through it.
Yeah.
And that shift is just like, it's so valuable, and it changes your life.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about this, and we've been talking through this piece because you've been married to Kelsey, your wife, for 9 years.
Yeah.
So that essentially means you guys were married and you two were walking that path together.
Yeah.
Through all these experiences in the NFL.
Yeah, we started dating when I was 16, so she was with me
through everything,
high school all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's so powerful too, to have that person.
Oh, for sure.
Because, I mean, I will tell you as a business owner who's done it for 13 plus years, with my spouse. I mean, Emily, my wife, has been with me through the whole thing, right? Through going to the gym and no one being there because it was a super snowy day, and there's pictures of her like sitting in snowbanks and snow piled up 2 feet high or whatever else, right? It's still so lonely. And just to have somebody to be like, hey, like, it's hard.
Right.
I'm lonely. And that person be like, cool, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about what people said in social media about your performance today or tonight or what anybody is saying. It's like, I love you for who you are.
Yep.
And I feel like, not to say that everybody needs to have that through that
But
challenging
it's
part of their
different when it's
career.
coming from your spouse.
Yeah.
It's different when someone knows the struggles and the things you've been through, and because they sacrifice a lot too. Like, I mean, my wife, you know, she gave up her career, all this stuff. Then we started having kids. Like, everything that she wanted to do professionally, like, she put to the wayside for me to live my career. And guys talk about all the time, like, being an athlete is a very selfish career. Like, everything you do is tailored to, like, how can you get better? You know, like, all my off seasons are, like, we would travel a little bit, but then it was, you know, I got to go work out here. I got to do this. And then the football season, it's like, it's a profession that, I mean, we had my daughter in September. I came home for 4 days. We had the baby, and I left like 2 days after the baby was born.
Right.
And then didn't see the baby for 5 weeks. And my wife's at home with a newborn and 2 kids that are 3 and 2 and newborn, you know? And so it's
which is, I mean,
right?
if anybody's a parent listening,
right.
Like,
And so it's like
crazy hard.
And so there's always, like, for all these guys and women that are, you know, because there's husbands out there that are sacrificing too for their wives that are athletes, you know, and there's always people that are helping you get to where you want to go, you know, and the spouse or the partner, like, gosh, it's just, you wouldn't be able to do it without them,
Right.
You know,
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you are traveling and transitioning that life into being a former athlete. And here's what I think is really cool, because it's one of those situations with athletics that many times the identity is almost stripped away.
Yeah.
Meaning you graduate from Division I athletics and then, you know, for a lot of, I mean, football is unique, right? It's a money sport.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sports, men's and women's sports in college, that you can be literally married to that sport through your high school career, through 4 years of college. And then upon graduation, there's no real opportunity past that. And it's like, you're done.
Yeah.
But you've identified as that kind of person, I'm an athlete in this sport. And certainly with social media, it's more prominent. All those, I mean, any even non-money sports, there's people judging your performance, all those things. And then similarly, when it comes to professional athletics too, it's like you could just have an injury, or again get cut and never get an opportunity again, and all of a sudden this identity is just a really hard cliff. I almost want to say that people fall off of.
Yep.
You got a really awesome opportunity, I think, and that's what I'm hearing with the Chargers, where you essentially were able to say, hey, I don't need to identify myself as just a football player anymore. Mm-hmm. I can start to expand that mentality out. I've earned well beyond what most people would expect somebody to be able to do in the NFL in terms of just time in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that allowed you, I feel like, to be where you are now, where you're not that far removed from football. Mm-hmm. But I feel like just the conversations that we've had in the past, you're in a really good headspace.
Yeah, I am. I think the gratitude of accepting that it's over. Yeah. And it's not a sad thing. Like, I know from my experiences, and I think it's always like you want to play longer and all this stuff and make more money and everything. But I think at the same time too, like when you approach life with gratitude of like, man, that was pretty cool. That was a cool experience. And now that it's over, like everything was positive about that. Yeah. Obviously I want to make more plays, and there's things I wouldn't change the journey, but there's things I would like different certain plays and that like, just anything,
it's human nature to go back and go, it wasn't perfect.
Right.
But this is that, goes back to like a Lombardi quote, is like, if we chase perfection, we'll catch excellence. I mean, that's not verbatim, but that idea that I feel like what you achieved in the NFL was excellence.
Yeah.
For what you had and were given, and then the work you put in for it.
Well, I think as athletes, just as human beings in general, like we compare ourselves a lot, and comparing to others is a very dangerous thing to do too.
Super dangerous.
But I think we need that competition with yourself, but just, I'll say an athlete, but it is just humans in general. Like, how can you reach your ceiling? How can you reach your full potential? Mm-hmm. Like, if your son or daughter potential is to be a, junior varsity starter, like that's their ceiling. Mm-hmm. Like, let's get them there.
Yeah.
Let's get them there. They don't have the athletic ability to be a Division I athlete. Mm-hmm. That's fine. That wasn't one of their gifts they were given. Like, you can't change that. But the process of how they get to their ceiling, like that mentality and that approach to life is what's going to carry them forever.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, for me, it's like, now how can I be more successful post football than I was football? Like, that's
where you are.
I don't want football to be the best thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think athletes like, well, what's going to be better than playing the NFL? I don't know if anything's going to be better than that, but I'm sure as hell going to try to get something that fulfilled me more than the NFL professionally.
Yeah. So let me ask this, because that's a really interesting statement you made, is I want to be more successful in something than I was in the NFL. Mm.
It's hard to measure.
It is. Well, and so what I think is interesting about that is how, and you may not have an answer for this, but how do you measure success then?
Yeah. I think the world's success is just financially, right? Can I make more money?
That's the easiest.
Can I make more posts? But I think, and this is something I'm really working through as post-career, as an athlete, and like, you have a very simple focus, right? Like, I know as a football player, especially as a wide receiver, like, I know what I need to improve on to be better at receiver. I need athletically. Mm-hmm. And so I go to the gym, the trainer gives me the task. I work on that. I go out and do my field work, right? I study film. And so it's a very simple approach. And now it's over. You're like, no one's telling me what to do. I don't have a 5 o'clock structured workout that I have to go to that's mandatory. And my whole day is not structured out. And so now it's just like, how do I get focused?
Yeah.
To have that intent every day. And so like I don't have an answer for what does success look like to measure up to an NFL career. But I think the intent and purpose behind every day of like professionally, like finding a career, finding and entrepreneurship's a whole different beast, you know?
Yes.
Because it's hard to measure even what success is in a day sometimes. Like you lay your head down, like what did I actually get done today?
Yeah.
You had meetings, you had calls, you had all this stuff, but
Uh-huh.
did actually anything get done? There's a
Right.
lot of legwork that goes into, especially like some of the stuff I've been doing is like finding businesses and buying businesses, and it's
Mhm.
like there's so much like work that goes into. Well, I talked to this broker, great conversation, didn't have any leads or anything for me at the time. And 6 months goes by and nothing from that. And then hopefully, there's some fruit from that conversation at some point of
Yep.
like he sends you a deal or he like thinks about you when he sees a deal come across his table.
Yep.
Like that's how you grow like that side of stuff. But yeah, I mean it's tough to measure success in a day when there's not, oh, you had 5 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. Like
Yep.
that's easy to measure, right? That was a good game.
Yep.
But I think, like we talked about, that being a self-driven, self-motivated person, like you do know what didn't go right in the day. You knew what went well in terms of like, oh, that meeting, or I got a lot accomplished that I needed to get done for the business. And
Yep.
so you do have a gauge on it. It's just it's hard to express it to people that aren't living it.
Yeah, well, and I think that this is what I have gathered just from the interviews I've had thus far, and just how I think about athletics too. Is one, it's very objectifiable, right? Statistics.
Yep.
When you think about there's whole companies now dedicated to statistics for all sports and nuancing the crud out of these things.
Yeah.
So it's easy to measure.
Mhm.
In addition, I feel like as an athlete, as you're going through that process, especially as you get more to a point where it's like, okay, I am a football player. Maybe in high school you were playing multiple sports and doing other things, but at some point you pick a sport, you go with it, and the higher you go, the more you have to pick. You can't just dabble in a bunch of things.
Yep.
Yeah. To get really, really good at it.
Yep.
It's a very myopic lens.
Yeah.
You're looking through one thing, everything is geared towards that one thing. And really, even in the case of, when you're lifting, you're probably lifting with receivers.
Yeah.
You're not even lifting with the defensive linemen or the offensive linemen. They're doing a completely different training program than you are.
Yep.
And so it's very myopic. The world outside of athletics, is not.
Yeah.
And layer in things like, I'm a husband, I'm a father, not of one kid, but of 4 kids. And they all have different personalities. And you want to be a loving, attentive dad. That takes a lot of time and effort also. Plus entrepreneur, plus connecting, plus man of God, plus all these other things. And all of a sudden you go from this myopic view to this massively open lens and going, whoa, where's my priority?
Yeah.
Today, this hour, whatever it might be.
Yep.
And it is challenging.
Yep.
And it is one of those things that I think there's a lot of things about being an athlete, tools that you have honed, blades you've sharpened, that are going to help you continue to navigate this better than most.
Yeah.
And so my question to you is what tools are you leaning on now, and what do you see yourself leaning on that are going to help you continue to navigate this and feel like, okay, I can? Because again, like you said, what is success? I don't know. And honestly, I feel the same way. I don't feel like I've always felt like the financial piece of success was essentially a side effect or a tertiary effect of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to have an impact. I'm trying to, through my gym and through conversations like this and putting a podcast out, is trying to change people's lives and have an impact that way and inspire. In doing so, there are going to be things that I reap, and one of those things is going to be financial success.
Yeah.
It's not the point of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think that any business book you read or learn about, they're going to tell you the exact same thing. Is if you're chasing financial success, you may achieve it, but in the process, you're not going to have long-term, or you're not going to have longevity in the game of business. If you chase impact, if you chase purpose, that's going to be the thing that's going to keep you going for a long, long time. And then with that, financial success will follow. So again, my question, what tools are you leaning on now, or what do you see yourself leaning on that allowed you to have success in the NFL that are going to carry you through?
Yeah, I think because it's easy to focus on the results. It's easy to say, oh, I want to jump 35-inch vertical, right? And well, you don't just jump a 35-inch vertical by thinking about jumping 35-inch vertical, right? There's a process of how you train and all that stuff. And so you're focused on the process of how you get there. And the results is just a byproduct of doing it right and improving and all that stuff. And so I think that there's so many skills that translate. Obviously not running a good slant route, like that's not going to help me in the business world. But the discipline that it took to learn how to do that, one of the best things that I've kind of noticed in my short entrepreneur career that's really translating is like your ability to turn adversity and like just keep going forward. You know, like, because in sports, no matter how big, fast, strong you are, you're going to get knocked on your butt. And what are you going to do? You're going to lay there, you're going to sulk, and you feel bad, or you're going to get up and go. Like entrepreneurship, like every day you get knocked on your butt. Right? Like there's just like, we'll probably talk about the business that my wife and I bought, but it's like every day something comes up, you know, just like little things come up and you're like, oh, I got to go handle it. Like you got to go over in whatever time and just fix it. And just like, there's no one else coming to do it but you. And so I think the ability to adapt and the ability to not see adversity as a bad thing and just keep moving forward is just like such a valuable tool that has translated really nice from sports to real life. Business world.
Get knocked down, get back up again. I think that was Chumbawamba.
Right. And I think everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But it's a skill. Like you learn to get yourself back up. You learn to, because I think too, like athletes and the fitness world, like I don't want to go to the gym every day. I don't want to lift heavy. Like I don't want Jared to be on my butt about working out. Like I don't want to hear that today. But you got to get yourself to go do it. And you get that callous of like doing things you don't want to do. And then uncomfortable, like get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? It's a quote everyone says, but that's a skill that's learned. Like you don't just, because you can't just get snooze and roll back into bed and be like, oh, I'm going to be able to handle hard stuff today. Well, you didn't handle the alarm clock this morning. Like that kicked your butt. That's one already. You're already on your butt. So how are you going to get it? Like that's a skill that's learned. And by doing it time and time and time again, and you defeat your mind and you trick your mind into thinking, oh, that's hard, but it's got to get done. And so you just do it. And that skill of doing that time and time again, like so valuable.
Well, and that's the point that I think is really key, is that words do matter in the sense that they will impact the mindset we have about things. If you say, I can do this versus there's absolutely no way I can do this. You know, I tell my daughters all the time is like, we're not using the word can't. I'm not able to yet. But words only take you so far. You have to actually then go and do the thing, because that's where I feel like I have a lot of pushback sometimes with like our society as a whole.
Well, Coach Rivera used to always say, your actions speak so loud I can't hear what you're saying. Right?
I like that more than actions speak louder than words. Is
right? Like what you're doing and like your actions, like that's who you are. Like that's what you're telling people.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean that's what it comes down to, right? Is I have a coaching called a flywheel, but it's motivation, discipline, action,
right,
and then reflection.
Right.
And nowhere in there is I'm going to speak it into existence.
Oh, I want to go work out today. Well, you didn't show up at the gym, so obviously you didn't want to work out today.
Right.
You know, like you can't just like, you got to go do it.
Yeah. And I think that the really important thing to do, and this is part of why I'm calling this show The Human Athlete, is, you know, I sit here and people will often look at me and be like, oh my gosh, like you own a gym, you must work out all the time. It's like, no. And there's sometimes I just don't want to work out. I don't want to be in my place of business and train.
Yeah.
I need to go home and do something else. I'll find something to do.
Yeah.
Because that's who I've made myself to be. But it doesn't mean I always am like, oh yeah, like I'm ready to train today. It's gonna be great. Like same thing for you. It sounds like. I mean, there's just days where you don't want to do it, and it's those days that matter the most. That's one thing that I distinctly recall my dad teaching me early on with strength training. He was a mason for 38 years, so he laid brick. Right? I mean, like the ultimate weightlifter for his job.
Yeah.
But he talked about it's like, and this is probably a military thing for him or a Marines thing for him, but we were doing, I don't know, bench press probably. And he's like, it's the last 2 reps that matter when you don't want to do them.
Yeah.
You know, and at the time I'm like, whatever, Dad, I'm 12 years old, you know.
Science supports that too, and muscle like development too.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
And so that idea of that is like doing the things you don't want to do when you still have the ability to do them is critical to success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think, and I think that's why, you know, as athletes, the transition is hard because there's not as much structure, there's not as much focus. It's a whole, like, you know, everyone's journey is different, but we all just like stopped what we've done our whole lives and it's over.
Yep.
And you're never going to do it again. Like, I mean, you can go play pickup basketball games and stuff, but I'm never going to go play football again. Like, I'm never going to go play a pickup tackle football game with pads on, right? Like with grown men. Like, it's just never going to happen again.
Absolutely.
Rightfully so. It shouldn't happen.
For so many reasons.
Right. But I think that's why when we get to this new unknown, like surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do. Surround yourself with high achieving people that are speaking life and can guide you, mentor, like find an accountability, find someone that'll keep you accountable. Like we all need that. Like no matter how disciplined, how focused you are, like you still need someone to help you and mentor you and guide you and you know, keep you accountable. And because I remember as a kid, like my dad, like he didn't push sports on us, but if we made the decision to want to play sports or do something, 1, we couldn't quit, and 2, like we were going to do it right. And so like when we decided, I had an older brother and he kind of set the tempo and the tone for like, you know, you always look after your older brother and you want to be like your older brother. And so, and my brother Mitch, like he was super hard worker and all that stuff. So it was like, that's just the way things are done. And my dad would drive us to the morning workouts and stuff. And I remember him waking us up in the morning and be like 5, you know, it was probably like 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30. As a little kid, you're like 6:30. You're like, oh man. But I remember him waking us up and it was like, I don't want to get up. And he would just turn the lights on. Like, no, you're going because you said you were going to go, you know? And so like it reinforced that I know you want to do it. Like in this moment, your mind's telling you don't want to do it. But if I could just get someone to push me a little bit to do it, because then when you get there, it's like, oh yeah, let's go. I'm so glad I'm here. This is why I'm here. Like, and so don't try to do it alone, you know? And I think as athletes, we are very prideful and we have an ego of like, you know, I achieved this because of my ability and what I was able to do. And so you kind of think you can do it alone, but I know for me, especially in this new post career, it's like, I don't know that much about business, you know? And like, I know stuff, but in the grand scheme of things, no, I don't know that much. And so why not surround yourself with people that know more? Like, you don't ever want to be the smartest guy in the room. Like,
no,
like,
absolutely not.
You know? And I've never been the smartest guy in the room. I never will be. But
that's
like,
probably not true. There's definitely some rooms, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe. But you want to surround yourself with people that are trying to go places that you're going, or maybe that are already there. You know, and like, just ask them, like, what advice can you give me? Like people, I love when people ask me like, hey, what advice can you have for my son or daughter that's trying to do that? Like, people think it's going to be a burden, but no, I love sharing that. I'm sure you love sharing.
Absolutely.
Like, how can a young a young gym owner, or even business owner, like, hey, what's some advice for me? Like, what are some things that help me? Like, we love to share, because I think that's the bigger purpose of all this, like sharing. And you know, it's the gospel. It's like there's a bigger purpose. Like we're all trying to lead each other to something. And how can I help you get there? As a human being, as a person, and just
I have experiences that can help you. Let me
help you. And so, but it takes the courage to ask for that and to humble yourself of like, hey, I'm not the best anymore. I'm not at the top. Like I was, but I'm not now. Like, and I think that's a challenge too, is especially like, okay, I'm 33 years old. A lot of my buddies and friends are starting to hit that like they're climbing up pretty good in their careers, you know, like they're
Yeah.
doing success, like they've been going it for 10 years. Like they're starting to financially, they're starting to make some money, like career professionally, like they're starting to make moves. And now I'm coming in like, well, now I'm back to the bottom, like professionally in this new world.
Yeah.
And so there's a, how do I bridge that gap as
Yeah.
fast as
There's
I
a
can?
gap for you, right?
Right.
Like financially, you've done well through the NFL,
Right.
but
But there's still the component of
knowledge and know-how and
but there's still the component of, I think that's why guys, the stats of guys going broke 3 years after the league is like a crazy number. And I think one, like, yeah, I have a wife, 4 kids, like a lot of things going on. Like I'm burning a lot of money fast. Like, so financially, like let's not shy away to the fact that, yeah, we need to make a living too.
Yes.
And now it's hard for me to go into an entry level career making $65,000 when, you know, we've had this lifestyle.
There's not a whole lot of jobs that pay what the NFL pays.
Right, exactly. So like
in this world,
not like being naive to the fact that, yeah, I got to make a living. Like, yeah, I made some money in my career, but I didn't make $100 million where I can live off the rest of my life.
right?
And a lot of people are going to be in the situation where they need to make money. And so, but like going back to your point, like that's not, I don't do things just to make money. Like that's the byproduct of, you know, finding your purpose, finding the things you're passionate about, because that's the longevity, like you were speaking about of, yeah, it might be a little slow to go because I didn't take the highest earning job, but man, I get out of bed and I'm pumped to do what I get to do.
Yeah.
I'm pumped to go try to grow this business. I'm pumped to work with my wife every day to grow something that, you know, hopefully our kids can be proud of at some point and take over, you know, like that's the stuff that gets me freaking jacked.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's the same mindset, just a different playing field.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to talk about that because I think that's a great way to kind of wrap up our conversation is you got an entrepreneurial business with your wife, which is awesome.
That is cool. It's fun. Some days.
So, I mean, you know, there's a give and a take to it. And I can appreciate that. I have a lot of friends who have been in business with their wives, and it is a roller coaster. But at the same time, my wife's not involved with our gym and never has been. And yet it's still a roller coaster. She's still involved.
Right.
She's just not actively a part of the business.
Right.
But talk to me a little bit about what that is, because it's kind of in line with what we're doing at the gym. It's in the Madison area.
Yeah. Yeah. So we bought a business and rebranded to Reset Wellness Studio, and we do recover modalities. Yeah, we got float therapy, contrast therapy, where it's sauna cold plunge combo. We got infrared saunas. We got red light therapy, and so much of my wife and I always wanted to do a sauna studio because we just loved a sauna. And so we bought this with the vision of turning it into a sauna studio. Well, it had a solid little foundation of floats, and so we wanted to grow upon that. And then we expanded the space, and so added more saunas. And really, like the whole thought was, as a professional athlete and as a high level athlete, like we get a lot of exposure to the facilities that we have, and the recovery stuff that we are exposed to, and the nutrition, and just like the guidance on the fitness and sleep and hydration, all this stuff. And then we have all the other stuff, kind of the luxurious stuff that we talk about, the red lights and the floats and the sauna stuff, the stuff that you don't need to do it, but it does help you feel better if you have the foundation of stuff. And so our whole thought was like, man, we could give the people in the Madison area, which is a very fitness like based, health based, like people are very conscious of how they're taking care of themselves.
One of the fittest cities in the United States.
Really? I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. And so we're like, man, because when I come back to Madison, I wanted a place where I go sauna, because I didn't have one in my house at the time. And you had to go to like one of the gyms, you know?
Yeah.
And so,
which are sanitary reasons and whatever else is not the best.
Right. And
situation.
So we kind of got a full service spot where people can come in and use the saunas, use the float therapy, and try the modalities that I had exposure to as a professional athlete, and just as my wife enjoys, just with the stress of raising kids and all that, like that's real. And I think the nervous system is something that people overlook. And I know as an athlete, like there's a lot of your body's in fight or flight a lot in those moments because of high stress. And so it's like
Yes.
you got to spend time to decompress.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these modalities were things that I use to do that. But it's so different. Like it was mental stress. Like so many people have mental stress that they don't address. Just at their jobs, with relationships, like everything. Like there's a lot that we get overburdened with, that our nervous system that we don't think about.
Mm-hmm.
That is like it's it's got you in this hyper state that we need to take a second. And whether it's the meditation, the flow, whether it's just sauna and the cold plunge, like just that, how that makes you feel alive, after coming out of the cold plunge. Um, and so we just want to give that to people in the Madison area. So that was kind of the thought behind Reset Wellness. And the name Reset was because, hey, we need to reset sometimes. We got to just hit that reset button. Like I always think about software, the computer, like the computer's not working. You just reset it, now it just works. Like why?
I've got an IT guy, and he's like 90+% of the time when I would get a tech call, I'd be like, "Did you turn the computer off and turn it back on again?" And he's like, "And if they didn't, and they do, more often than not, that fixed it." Like,
Right.
That's just wild.
So just hit the reset button. We got to hit the reset button on our own nervous systems too, And I think that's kind of the whole premise behind it. And we're excited. We got it all renovated, it's up and running, and we're excited people to come in and use the modalities and hopefully feel better and just trying to help.
Yeah.
Here's
one thing that I've talked a lot about with people, because when we bring somebody into our gym, one thing we talk about, and actually had a client that started with us, she was interested in the fact that we ask so many questions about sleep.
Yeah.
Because in our intake form, there's a bunch of questions about sleep. We're a strength gym. I mean, we're training strength foundations. We're training movement patterns. Why are you asking so many questions about sleep? I told her, I'm like, well, because we've had clients who were doing all the right things and couldn't get the results they're trying to achieve. And then we come to find out, when we actually ask them, well, how are you sleeping? It's terrible.
Yeah.
And we go, how do we miss that one?
Right.
But here's the thing that I've realized about sleep is that as somebody who I think sleeps pretty well, and we had twin daughters, so they're 9 now, but I distinctly recall when we were in the stage of them early on and getting up and feeding them both at the same time. So my wife would feed one, I'd feed the other. We just kind of flip flop as things went. So neither of us were getting great sleep. There wasn't any, oh, you get up this time, I'll get up this time. I slept well before that. And then when I wasn't sleeping well, it was just like this total haze that I was in.
Right.
And I think when you experience good recovery, when you experience good sleep, and then you don't get it, you realize how impactful it is on your body. However, when somebody's not experienced good recovery almost ever, or not experiencing good sleep, which is, again, a little bit more of what we see, it isn't until they actually start to go through that process and realize how draining, how exhausted, how impactful all this was on their emotional state with their kids, with their spouse, work relationships, their willpower, right?
Yeah.
Their desire to get and do the hard things and do the things when I don't want to do them. They have no idea what that's actually like,
right,
until they make that shift over. They see the greener pastures, essentially.
Right.
And they go,
no, you're so right.
Wow. But it's hard sometimes, even as somebody, again, who sleeps well, to explain to somebody who, in this case, the person I was talking to, has been dealing with insomnia for 1.5 years. It's like, it's hard for me to explain all the things going on with her because she's experiencing that. Now, granted, she's also experienced good sleep in the past. And so this shift, not really sure why, but it's a challenging conversation to have with somebody.
Yeah.
I'm imagining, if you already haven't already, you're going to have that conversation with some people who come into your facility and go, well, why do I need this? Because they just don't even know what the experience is going to be like when they've gone through a good regenerative sauna session or a hot cold contrast or whatever it might be, and just leave there and go,
Yeah.
And what can this do for the rest of my life now?
Right. No, I think, yeah, we get some great testimonials about people that come out of and we've been doing the floats mostly right now, so it's more so that, but just like the headspace that they're able to, because I think too, like, and one of the things about the studio that we set up is like, there's no, like some of these studios put like TVs and stuff, and there's no TVs, no nothing in there. Like we're all stimulated way too much. Like
way overstimulated.
Like the last thing you need to do is go to a sauna session and start watching TV.
Yeah.
You know, like really be intentional about what you're doing. Because I like the sauna does great things for cardiovascular, detox, all that stuff. But I think what I've noticed the most is like the mental side of it. Like, don't take your phone in there because it's going to overheat anyway. So leave your phone out and literally just spend 20 minutes in that sauna, like thinking about whatever you want to think about, but just not something that's stimulating you to think about something else. And like, just see where your mind goes. And the floats, obviously you can't take a phone in the float, but like that, like you're weightless, it's dark in there. The water is the same temperature as your skin, your exterior of your skin. And so that's the sensory deprivation side of it. And so you can, it's pitch black in there. And so you can really shut off all your stimulation in there because your body doesn't really know where you're at because there's no senses like, oh, I feel myself sitting in this seat. Like you can touch the walls and stuff, but the whole thought is to do the full sensory deprivation. But it's like, our whole thought is like, what's the people coming in here, like, let's give them a full experience of really unplugging.
Yeah.
Like there's no, like, just leave your phone down, literally just take 20 minutes or an hour, whatever the session is, and really see what you can do when you're fully like unplugged from the world, and like truly be intentional about that. And I guarantee you, everyone that does it, they come out like, oh man, I felt so good after that and all this stuff. And like, we always do. It's like a good yoga session or just straight meditation. Like you feel so good after, but we don't do it enough because we got to make the time, and time is scarce, and
well, it's scarce and we're overbooked.
Yeah, we are. Right. And because not every culture is like America. Like you have people that come over from Europe and stuff, and they'd be like, everyone's just working right now. Like everyone's just working. And like, I kind of got a glimpse of that when I was in California. I lived on Newport Beach. I was like 2 blocks from the beach, like horrible spot to live, and it'd be like our off day was Tuesday. And I guess it's a little touristy too, but this was like November. Like there's not a lot of people aren't going to the beach there. Like, cause
it's cold. It's cold.
It gets colder. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but like the lifestyles, there's like, everyone's just hanging out. Like not like, it's almost kind of like island time a little bit. You know, where like, oh, we open at 9. Well, it's 10 o'clock. They're still not open. Like, it's just way more relaxed. And I get, we need structure. We need to be productive and all that stuff, but we also need the other side of it too. To like, let go. Like, your calendar, just rip it up for one day. Just let go of it for a second. Yeah. Like, don't be so rigid. Don't be so structured. Like, let it go and just let your imagination work a little bit. Let your, like, just be fluid. Like, just take a lunch, go out for breakfast or something. Like my wife and I love doing that. Just go out for breakfast, like 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. Like try to go out for breakfast. Like we don't do it as much as we used to, but like, cause that's just so like, that's 9 a.m. on a Wednesday. Like that's prime. Like I should be doing something productive and like, but I like just let go for just a little bit. Just you need to. Yeah. It's like eating a big greasy cheeseburger. Like, yeah. The nutrition's not gonna like this, but man, I feel damn good after that.
Maybe might not feel good. Yeah, it's while I'm digesting, like that's a little dicey at that point.
Not even like, oh, I shouldn't eat that cheeseburger. But I think there's times that let go, and we feel like the studio is a great spot for people to be intentional because it's scheduled for them, it's there for them, like everything's provided for them. Whether it's the towels, the robes, everything they need is there. So you just got to show up. Enjoy your session. And yeah, that's kind of the intent behind the studio.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. So that's Reset Wellness.
Reset Wellness. Yep.
Where can people find you, connect with you? Because again, the purpose of this podcast, The Human Athlete, was to do what we just did, have a conversation as human beings, not just as Alex, the former NFL football player, or former Badger, for those that, look at it that way. But also for people to be able to connect with you on a human level.
Yeah.
And do what you just said, which is offer people the opportunity to ask questions and give you the freedom to be able to say, hey, I have some experience in this realm. I'm happy to help. I want to. It's part of what the next chapter for me in life is. So where can people best connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, social media is great. I got Instagram, Twitter. You'll put the
we'll
put them
put
on
the show notes.
Show notes. I'm on LinkedIn. So I can be found in all those. Like, reach out. Like, I'm not super fast to get back, but like within a reasonable amount of time, like I'll reach back. I'll get back to you. No, but I think that I would love if people reached out and just, hey, whatever question they have. I'd be happy to help. Like, I don't have all the answers, and I'll share that with you if I don't know. But I think that's part of the journey too, is like trying to figure things out together and discover things together and find our way as we go.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool, man. Thanks. This has been a fantastic conversation.
Yeah, I super awesome.
Appreciate it. And we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Human Athlete. These conversations remind us that who we are beyond sport matters just as much as who we were in it. If this episode made you think or helped you see your own story a little differently, share it with someone who might need to hear it. I'm Jared Markowitz, and until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and keep finding ways to win the game that matters the most: life.